and welcome back to Tipoff 2023-2024. Dr. Ron Poniewasz and Professor Larry Kelly of Tipoff. And Larry is a member of the Luxembourg, Arbit, Kelly and George law firm and assistant baseball coach at Penn State Shenango, former Shenango varsity baseball coach. And Larry, welcome aboard and welcome back as we are now in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Best time of year, baby. Survive and advance. All three of our Lawrence County teams survived, and now they're advancing. Joseph Roth got a little bit closer to 2,000 points. Bobby Fadden went off again for Mohawk. So David Quat, the stalwarts, back in action. You know, no surprises there for Neshannock and for Mohawk. You know, survive and advance. It's now time for the big dogs to carry the big bones. I always said in playoff basketball, if our stars are better than your stars, we win. And if our stars were not better than your stars, we're probably going home. Playoff basketball is all about the big dogs. So let's see.
Breaking news here, Larry, a score update. You can hear the little chime in the background. Go
ahead.
After three quarters, Eden Christian has erased a 10-point deficit after the first quarter, and Eden Christian has roared all the way back to take a 50-46 lead over Shenango, going to the fourth and final quarter at Shenango High School, and that's a Class 2A matchup.
Yeah, that would be an upset. You know, we beat Eden Christian, I think the first time around, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And you can't lose at home, Ronnie. If you lose at home, shame on you. You know, that's the big advantage about being a WPIAL, or I should say being the higher seed in the WPIAL tournament. You get a home game. And, you know, I've said it week after week, probably there is no sport where there is a bigger advantage to playing at home than in basketball. So, but there's one quarter to go. As someone once said, it's not over until the fat lady sings.
And that is a 7 versus 10 matchup. Shenango is the 7th seed, Eden Christian the 10. So this week on Tip Off, we have the Athlete of the Week segment. We're going to tell you about a young lady that did something that will be a first. She'll always have that. It'll be a first in the WPIAL. First for her school, first for everything. And then Larry will talk about the schedule that's coming up with the basketball teams. But first, Contessa Caudelesi, a freshman from Laurel High School, that she won the WPIAL's inaugural girls wrestling championship at a 148-pound weight class. This was the first year that the WPIAL had offered girls wrestling, and she again captured that title at 148. She pinned Seneca Valley's Hannah Hornick in 1 minute 45 seconds to secure the championship. Larry, just your thoughts on, you know, she can go down in the record book. She's the first.
That's impressive. Listen, I've always said I played baseball at Slippery Rock for 4 years, and I lived in the same dorm as the wrestlers. And, you know, I thought football and basketball players were tough guys. Baseball players, I thought we were tough guys. Paled in comparison to how tough those wrestlers were. You know, so my hat's off to Contessa. And winning as a freshman, pretty impressive. Who coaches the Laurels team? Is it the boys coach who has had tremendous success out there?
Kevin Carmichael coaches the boys. And the girls' coach is Jay Mateo. Or Matt, I'm not sure how he pronounced the last name, but they have a girls' coach, and Jay Mateo, I believe it is.
Well, Kevin's had great success out there at Laurel, and I'm sure the coaches, you know, they talk to each other and they work on things together. But I tip my hat to Contessa. You know, to win a WPIAL championship in any sport, it's hard to do. You're special when you do that. And this young lady obviously is special.
And to do that on the first year of the WPIAL offering that as a sport, and not to mention she's a freshman also.
Yeah, ninth grader. I'm sure she was competing against older girls in the competition. And as we've discussed so many times on this program, ninth and 10th graders normally don't beat juniors and seniors. They don't, for a lot of reasons: experience, your body habitus, your maturity, your physicality, all of that. But this young lady is a ninth grader, then may win 4 in a row,
Yeah.
which would be unprecedented, I think, even for Laurel. I know they had a 2-time state champ out there and multiple winner, but I thought that one year that he did not win. And who am I thinking of, Ronnie? He went to Pitt on a wrestling scholarship, I believe.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I know who you mean. Grant McKay.
Yeah, he was special. But even he didn't win 4 in a row. I don't think. I may be wrong on that, but this young lady has a chance.
Mm-hmm. Again, she is our print athlete of the week for print purposes, and she advances to the West Regional on March 2nd, and that'll be held at Cannon McMillan. So we congratulate Laurel High freshman Contessa Cautelesi for winning the WPIAL Girls Wrestling Championship at the 148-pound weight class. Larry, let's talk about a young lady playing girls basketball. She's no stranger to success, and that's Wilmington's Leah Crayrup. She scored 14 of her game-high 19 points last week in the third quarter of a 65-43 win over Greenville, and that performance enabled the Lady Greyhounds to lock up their second consecutive region championship outright. And that was in District 10, Region 4, classification 3A, 4A, Wilmington being a 3A school, Larry. So very impressive by what the team did and she did.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago that the Wilmington Lady Greyhounds were and was a struggling program. No longer, no longer. They've turned it around. And, Leah, 19 points in the first round of the playoffs to win, what amounts to a district championship is impressive. They always say the fourth quarter is the most important quarter in a basketball game. No, I disagree. I think it's the third quarter. You check and see who won the third quarter of a basketball game, and more times than not, they've won the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so now Wilmington is 18-4, and they will play Greenville again. And Greenville's 9-13, and that'll be 2:30 p.m. Saturday at Farrell High School. That's in the first round of the District 10 Class 3A playoffs. And Wilmington swept Greenville this year. The Trojanettes lost both games, including the first game, which was 51-21 for Wilmington. So they were comfortable wins, but certainly that second game, Greenville was a little bit more spry. They scored 43 points. They only had 21 that first game. So is there any worry there for you in terms of this third meeting?
Anytime you're playing one and done basketball, there's always worry, because as we talked in basketball, you can have bad shooting night, and all of a sudden, you can't, as they used to say, you can't hit water if you fell out of a boat. The games then go to the fourth quarter. It's anybody's game. The team that's the higher seed and who is expected to win feels a lot of pressure, and that basket gets even smaller. So, we at Newcastle, when I coached there, we never took anybody for granted. We did. We got ready for every team as if we were playing the state championship game. The only game that I would say, is the letdown game. It's the game after the WPIAL championship. If there's ever a trap game, we play the WPIAL championship at the Peterson Event Center. There's 8,000 people in the stands, and all of a sudden you're playing a first round state game in a high school gym, and there might be 600 people instead of 6,000. It's kind of a trap game. But other than that, at Newcastle, we got ready like we were playing the Boston Celtics. It didn't matter.
Right. Okay, Larry, that's what we have for Athlete of the Week. Come on back. We have one more segment to talk about, and that'll be our schedule portion of what's left around the county. We'll do that next, right here on Tip-Off.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for personal injury cases involving automobile accidents and workers' compensation claims for over 90 years. At LGKG, over 10,000 clients have trusted us to represent them. We know how to present your case to a Western Pennsylvania jury. We know what makes them tick. We know how to win.
Back with you here on Tip-Off. And there's our chime for an basketball update. With 1 minute and 59 seconds left in regulation, Eden Christian maintains a 55-51 lead over Shenango.
Wow. Yeah, and that would be very disappointing if Shenango doesn't win this one. So honest, you got them at home. Big advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, now it comes down to where the situation is for fouls. If Shenango has a good bit of fouls, so they could put Eden on the line. This is where I don't like the new.
I don't like it either, Ronnie. I don't like it either. And I think you did pull most of the coaches, and I think 4 out of 5 said they liked the old rule better.
Right. Yeah. So the people that like it, they like it for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but in any event, Larry, what we have on the docket for this week is Wednesday night, February 21st. We have 2 basketball games. We have a boys game, which is 5th seeded Union against 4th seeded Monessen. You'll see our graphic there on the screen, and that is 6 p.m. at Peters Township, and that's a Class 1A playoff game. Larry, your thoughts on the Scotties going up against the 4 seed?
Are we talking about the Union boys here?
This boys, yeah.
Yeah. A 4-5 game is always a very evenly matched game. You're playing on a neutral court. There's no advantage there. It comes down to many times 3 factors, and I've talked about these often. Number one, did we rebound our own end? Did we out-rebound them? That's the key. You got to rebound your own end. Number 2, did we protect the basketball and turn them over more than they turned us over? Turnovers, if you can turn over your opponent, that means extra possessions. And then number 3, am I executing on the offensive end to the extent that I'm getting the ball in the paint? If I get the ball in the paint, I'm probably getting to the foul line. So, those were 3 stats I wanted to win. I was it didn't matter what coach, with sport I was coaching. I was very analytical. I believed in analytics, and I'm telling you, those 3 analytics, you take care of those 3 things, you won more times, probably 90% of the time. If you won 2 out of 3, you won probably 75% of the time. So again, it's fundamentals, rebound your own end, protect the basketball, and let's execute some good offense, dribble drive. Let's get the ball in the paint and good things happen.
Yeah, good thing for Union. With a win, you head to the semifinals. I believe this is the quarterfinal round, and Amani Christian is on the same side of your bracket. A loss puts Union into the consolation bracket, so there's still basketball to be played for Union now that the Scotties have at least 1 win under their belt. Girls basketball on Wednesday night. Girls basketball on Wednesday night. It is 4th seeded Neshannock, 5th seeded South Park. That is also 6 p.m., but this game is at Fox Chapel, and this is a Class 3A matchup. Larry, your thoughts on Neshannock?
Same thought. 4-5 game, 2 evenly matched teams. Again, rebound your own end, protect the basketball, execute some good offense. The 3-point shot has changed the game somewhat. It has. And if you are a really, really good 3-point shooting team and you've had a really, really good 3-point shooting night, you can get away with a little bit of turnovers and getting out rebounded. But you better be shooting it really well to do that.
That was
and Neshannock does shoot it very well.
Mm-hmm. That was an impressive win for Neshannock in the opening round, a home win that not only got them into the quarterfinals, but regardless of how this game goes, and naturally the program wants to win, they're guaranteed of 2 other games because of that consolation bracket. And the reason why it's big is these girls are all young, so this adds to that playoff experience. This is another playoff game in the winner's bracket, so to speak. And should something happen and they don't get a win, you're going to the consolation bracket to get even more experience, but naturally they want to win, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's a long season. Right now, man, you got to be laser focused because you've been in the gym every day since the middle of November, and probably before that for at least 6 weeks since the beginning of October, doing some preseason stuff. And it's a long season, so you really got to be focused now. And that's one thing about Luann. Her team, they're focused. They're always focused.
Yeah. Busy night on Thursday evening around Class 3A basketball for boys. All three of these games are 3A boys games. Neshannock is the 4 seed, playing 12th seeded Derry, 6 p.m. at North Hills. 2nd seeded Mohawk plays 7th seeded Yock at 7 p.m. at Pine Richland. And 9th seeded Elwood City Lincoln takes on the top seed Deer Lakes at 8 p.m. at North Allegheny High School. So any of those games you want to expand on, Larry?
Well, Derry obviously upset the 5 seed somewhere last week. So, maybe a break for Neshannock that they don't have to play a 4-5 game. However, in the playoffs, like I said, there's a reason why Derry won that game. 5-12 matchup. You don't see very many 12s in high school. This isn't NCAA basketball. This is high school basketball. You don't see many 12 seeds beating a 5. It doesn't happen very often. So maybe a little bit of a break for Neshannock that they're not going to be playing an opponent that had as good a regular season as you might have expected. Mohawk, they're the 2 seed. Again, they're the favorite here. Bobby Fadden went off last week. The kid is tough. And if he's not going to go off, then Jay Rona probably is. So I like Mohawk. They're good. I've liked them all year. But again, they're playing a really good team, and you got to bring your game. And Elwood City, they better have their big boy pants on because they're playing Deer Lakes, the number 1 seed in the tournament. However, they may have been misseeded, Elwood City. You come out of that conference with Neshannock and Mohawk, and you finish 3rd, and you beat Neshannock at home. You played Mohawk tooth and nail. I think being a 9 seed was a little bit of a misseed here. So I'm sure Deer Lakes isn't real happy. They got to play Elwood City, Lincoln High School in the 2nd round of the playoffs. Joseph Roth, as we talked, he's 15 points away from 2,000. That young man he's a difference maker.
Where would you see Elwood City after you mentioned the strong performance that they had this year in section play?
Well, look, if you had Mohawk as a 2 and Neshannock as a 4, I'd have had Elwood as a 5 or a 6. I really would have. I mean, again, that's a tough conference, and you take care of Neshannock at home, who's the 4 seed, and that last game at Mohawk was a dogfight. That's the game I think Joseph Roth went off for 51 points. So, yeah, I think they were probably misseeded. They probably, in my view, should have been a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, but also putting it out there without agreeing or disagreeing. If you put a school that finished 3rd place in their league as high as like a 5 or a 6, somewhere there's going to be a school saying, "Hey, what about us? We finished 2nd in our league." And then it comes down to whose league is tougher. So that's the argument you're going to have from back.
Yeah, but the argument is out of the same conference, you had a 2 and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
You had a 2 and a 4, and Mohawk could have been a 1. I mean, that's how good they were. And Neshannock could have been a 2 or a 3. So it's a very competitive league, and Lincoln High School played all those guys tough and beat it Neshannock at home. So we'll see. Hey, listen, we're in it to win the championship. I was always in it to win the championship. At Newcastle as a basketball coach, at Shenango as a baseball coach, I'm in it to win it all. Mm-hmm. We moved up Shenango baseball from 2A to 3A, and somebody said, "Why did you do that?" Well, number one, I love the local rivalries with Elwood City, with Mohawk, with Neshannock, and I'm in it to win it all. If I'm going to lose, I want to lose to a public school team, you get in that 2A bracket and you were playing the Seton LaSalle's, who we beat in the final, and Sarah Catholic, who was, last year once again was the WPIAL champ, because it's a Pittsburgh AAU team.
All right, so you got Derry. They upset Olsh, I believe it was, and if I read right, Olsh had been to the championship game 7 years in a row.
There you go.
Yeah, Derry does not have a quite a pedigree. I think this is maybe their first win in 12 playoff appearances. I don't recall that one specifically, but and you got naturally Yawkland against Mohawk, and Deer Lakes is last year's WPIAL champion and state runner-up. So our teams, our local teams in boys 3A are going to have their work cut out for them.
Oh yeah, once you get past the first round, the teams are evenly matched. Games will go down probably to the last couple possessions, and you better be ready and prepared for it. And that's how we talk about, laser focus. When the pressure gets so high, you can't spit, you're still able to execute.
Mm-hmm. And girls basketball also that night, Thursday night, February 22nd, we have top-seeded Union hosting 8th-seeded West Green. West Green defeated Jeanette the other night, I believe maybe last night, and last night being Monday. And that game will be 7 p.m. on the Lady Scots' home floor in Class 1A action, Larry.
Did Union women get a bye? Is that what happened?
Yeah, they got a bye, yeah.
Okay, and so they're playing their first-round game at home. Big advantage. Playing at home is a big advantage. Not only do you avoid the bus ride, but you are playing in a gym that you are familiar with, the lighting, the background, the home court fans, everything about it. I'd say playing at home is anywhere from a 4 to 6 point advantage because of all of those factors.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, Larry, what you tell me, how difficult is this for a school like Union or any school? You get the first round bye. Now you're sitting around saying, all right, we don't play till Thursday. We're not going to know who we play until Monday night. How difficult is that, sitting around and waiting and not even knowing who you're playing?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of teams in any sport, professional and otherwise, have had issues with this. Not being in game competition, trying to recreate game scenarios. It's hard to do. It happens all the time. I mean, you look at it in professional sports where that team that had the bye loses, or in college basketball in the conference tournaments, that team that has the double bye ends up losing the first game. Yeah, it's hard. It makes it a little harder. It does not to have played. You get out of your rhythm, you get out of your normal routine. And then again, you don't have a lot of time to scout, even though I'm sure that the 8-9 game that was played, I'm sure Coach Nege and his staff was at that game live watching it. Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if they weren't.
And before we go to Saturday, February 24th, which is our final game on the scheduled portion, a final score from Shenango High School: Eden Christian 67, Shenango 56.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big upset. That's a big upset, and so the season's over for the Shenango boys. And like I said, there was a bunch of my guys, seniors, that played on that team. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Rowe, a senior, Jason Malley, a senior, Joey Campolia, Jr. I guess if there's any good news for the baseball program, those guys will be at baseball practice tomorrow.
Right. Okay. Saturday, February 24th, our final game to discuss on the schedule is Wilmington, as we talked about during the Leah Crayrup portion of who we talked about for the Athlete of the Week for tip-off, against Greenville. And this is the third matchup of the season. Again, 2:30 p.m. at Farrell High School, District 10, Class 3A playoff matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Wilmington has taken care of them twice. It's not easy to beat a team 3 times. The familiarity with each team allows the competition to get a little closer. You're very familiar with each other. But I look for the Wilmington girls to take care of business and move on.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Larry, you'd like to talk about with the herd of basketball games that we have coming up here over the next couple of days?
No, it gets exciting this time of year. I only wish I was watching my Red Hurricane play. Talked to Coach Belundo today. I mean, there's a chance that Newcastle, based on the formula used by the PIAA, may again be in 6A next year.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, wow is right. And that's based upon their success last year of getting to the quarterfinals of the state tournament. And I don't know, you get 2 points for that. And if you get 2 points in the moved up classification that you're in, according to Coach Belundo, you stay in that classification. And not that we're afraid of anybody, but it's not where we belong. And so we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And how do you like the basketball playoff format where you reach a certain level of the playoffs, quarterfinals? If you suffer a setback, you go into the consolation bracket and get two games and start fighting for your state playoff lives. You like that?
It's different. It's okay. You're allowing kids to play a little more hoops, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm okay with that. They should have done the same in baseball. I had a couple really good teams that lost in the second round, 2 really good teams. It would have been nice had we been able to reload and get back in the tournament.
Okay. Very good. Well, enjoy the games, everybody, and we wish the student athletes and coaching staffs, student bodies, what have you, all the best of luck to their respective teams as they get ready for their upcoming matchups anywhere between Wednesday, February 21st, and Saturday, February 24th. He's Larry Kelly. I'm Ron Poniewasz. We thank you for joining us this week on Tip-Off. We'll be back here next week, hopefully to talk about the same amount of basketball teams. We'll do that then next week. Have a good week, everybody.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.